South Carolina is officially the 2024 national champions. They won 39 games and have 0 losses. In this video, I will go over why this is one of the greatest coaching achievements in history, and it's easily the most impressive undefeated season ever. There have been several undefeated national champions in women's basketball, 10 total, including South Carolina. Texas did it once during the 85-86 season, Tennessee did it in 97, Baylor in 2012, UConn has done it 6 times, the last time being in 2016. These were all impressive feats. But why does South Carolina's season stick out over the rest? The first reason is the fact they lost their entire starting 5. No other undefeated team can say this. The growth of women's basketball has exploded, specifically in the last 4 years. As a result, talent distribution between schools has significantly improved. Dawn Staley did not have the luxury of having a massive talent advantage over every other team. The AP All-American list didn't exist during Texas' undefeated national championship season, but we do have data for all the undefeated seasons after it. All of UConn's undefeated seasons had at least 2 AP All-Americans, with at least one being on the first team. In multiple cases, there were 2 players on the All-American first team. UConn had a team with the National Player of the Year and 3 other All-Americans. This would be the equivalent of Caitlin Clark, Paige Beckers, Madison Booker, and Alyssa Pilley being on the same team. Tennessee and Baylor also had 1 player on All-American first team and another player on the All-American second team during their undefeated title run. South Carolina is the only undefeated squad that only had 1 AP All-American on their team. That player was Camila Cardoso. She was also the only player from South Carolina to be on the All-SEC first team. Tessa Johnson, who was the leading scorer in the national championship game, wasn't even deemed worthy enough to make the All-SEC freshman team, when South Carolina players were not getting any awards. The argument was that players on other teams are a lot better individually, but South Carolina wins so much because of their depth and teamwork. But now that they won it all, it's because they are supposedly way more talented than everyone else. Something is not adding up here. This team was the ultimate display of teamwork and player development. 9 players came in and made a huge impact during the championship game, and that's been the story all season. But how exactly did they get to this point? It's all about getting people to buy in and trust the process. Dawn Staley successfully got Raven Johnson, Bree Hall, and Faegin to buy in. They easily could have started at another school. I remember with Faegin specifically, a lot of people were encouraging her to get in the portal. If she listened to them, she wouldn't have a ring right now. Camila Cardoso transferred to South Carolina in the 2021 offseason. She knew the next 2 years she was going to be Aaliyah Boston's backup. She would have started on any other team, but she didn't jump ship, and now she has 2 rings and will be a lottery pick. Ashlyn Watkins' playing time doubled this season, and so did her stats. She will be getting a ton of playing time the next 2 years as well. Talasia Cooper entered the transfer portal in the offseason. Had she stayed, she would have won a ring, but now she's stuck on a team that just fired their coach. Trusting the process isn't easy, but the players that do are rewarded. Dawn Staley had 3 class of 2023 players come to play for her. They weren't the most hyped players in the class, but they were exactly what Dawn needed. They are inconsistent at times, as all freshmen are. But they had some very big moments this year, and during the most important game, they showed up. Chloe Kitts had a double-double. Full Wiley had made many plays that helped swing the momentum of the game. Tessa Johnson was the leading scorer for South Carolina. She scored 19 points on only 11 shots. That's what I call championship-level basketball. Last year in the championship, Jasmine Carson kept making back-breaking threes against Iowa. That's exactly what Tessa Johnson provided in that game. The value Tahina Paopao brought to South Carolina cannot be overstated. She wasn't the most hyped or most talented player in the portal, but she was the most important. Not only did she provide South Carolina with much-needed three-point shooting, she provided leadership to a young team. Other coaches should take notes. There's over 1,100 people in the portal right now. We'll see which coaches get players that help their system, compared to ones who just look at points per game. Another thing that makes South Carolina going undefeated this year so impressive is that she took one of the hardest non-conference schedules. South Carolina made UConn, Duke, and Notre Dame look a lot worse than what they actually were, which just shows how dominant they have been. When you look at the totality of their season, you'll see they have been beating great teams all year. They beat the reigning national champions twice, the ACC and Big Ten tournament champions. and they beat multiple mid-major conference champions. The scary part is, every player is returning except for Camila Cardoso. She is a big loss, no doubt about that, but everyone else will get better in the offseason. And Dawn brought in another recruiting class. This offseason will be very interesting. Teams will try to form the Justice League just to compete with South Carolina. Dawn Staley played the long game, and it paid off. This season deserves a Woman of Troy type documentary. It was a very historic season, and it needs to be celebrated by the media more. You will never see a team outside of the top 5 in the preseason become undefeated national champions ever again. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.